got a U matrix box today and
Yeah.
another box.
All right.
Oh, you might have to mute
Yeah.
everybody's.
Oh, here we go. Mute all. Okay, I gotta mute everybody. All right, thanks for joining everybody. Today is February the 6th. Oh my gosh, February the 6th already. Sorry to make it last week. Hope you enjoyed the recordings. But I did. So I think it was last year. I talked about I was explaining I was gonna talk more about this False Claims Act. So I want to do that this evening. I don't think we'll take up so much time. We could, but we can do Q&A. And I like what Ray was talking about before we started the recording. It was something that was in line with what we were discussing about when I said guys should look at the budgets for your county and start attacking the budget approval process for your Department of Health. So I'm not going to talk about that so much tonight, although that would be a good discussion. If I just want to do this other part of the presentation, and I'm going to show you how you can get a piece of the action if you want to end some corruption. Okay, you can do that from your desktop. It's not going to hurt. You won't break any arms, okay? You might assault some people, but that's okay. But I do these Thursday evening calls, and I discuss topics that I think are popular, I hope, and that may hopefully answer questions for people. But I also have technical discussions and tutorials and lessons and courses and things like this on my membership area at aceofcoins.club. aceofcoins.com is a way to contact me individually and set up times, and I do a consulting package. Some of that includes setting up an LLC for people, but I don't sell LLCs. I just do the consulting, and yeah, I do use LLCs for that process. So anyways, I just want to mention those out there. We don't have a conference scheduled because I don't have the marketing place for it, but I would like to get some in-person conference. We have a nice place here in Orlando, and I'm hoping I can do it here in Orlando or Kissimmee. This year. I'm hoping I can do it before June. So I just needed some marketing in place, and maybe I'm going to have that set up shortly, and I'll let you guys know. But anyways, for this evening, I'm going to do a share screen real quick, and I'm going to just point right to the subject we're going to talk about. And I just found this in 1 second just to further explain. So where we left the discussion off, I believe, was in December, where I was talking about the false claims being made in family court, where the court is ordering alimony and child support. Okay, the payments of alimony and child support, this is going to shock you. Listen to what I'm saying now. It's not legal. None of it is. The reason is because there is no underlying debt obligation for alimony and child support. And I'll give you an example of, we had a case recently where the attorney we made the argument that there's no underlying debt, okay? And she said, well, you don't have a postnuptial agreement that prevents you from being ordered to sell your house and split the equity with your wife. And I said, you don't have a postnuptial agreement that requires him to do that. Again, there's no underlying debt. And so because she couldn't argue with me because I used her own argument, she went and started citing a list of statutes. And my only response to that is no statutes create new debt obligations.
Right.
Statutes do not create new debt obligations unless you're speeding on the highway, right? There's a penalty for that, financial penalty, right? But in family court, no law creates a new debt, because if it did, well, we can all just like sue people, right, and get paid. And that's what's happening in family court. So in family court, there's already an allocation of money for the welfare of the family members. And one family member decides to leave. Let's say the wife decides to leave. In the stereotypical example, it's not always like that. She leaves without terms. And then she goes back to get some lawyer, and then files a divorce petition. And then they take it upon themselves, the lawyer and the court, to liquidate the husband and the whole family. It's not just the husband, but I mean, it's the whole family, so that the family can't accumulate wealth. It can't survive.
Right.
That's the whole idea, right? Yeah. So once they're
and the children suffer, everybody suffers.
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm involved with the legislative process and I have like large financial interests in the country, okay, if I'm a part of a corporation or something, and I see that we can modify the family court rules of procedure, I'm gonna run it through a receivership. I'm gonna take a good old-fashioned receivership and throw it in a family court, make it look like it's for the interest of the family. Because I don't want new competition. I don't want some person who's smart with his money or wants to save money and then accumulate equity because of market conditions, and then come in and buy a restaurant in my town when I own 72 restaurants. I don't want new people coming into my marketplace. That's what's going on with your family court. So how do we make this work on a lot, even a lot higher level? When I say higher level, I mean a level that affects more people.
Mhm.
Let's go to the legislative process in Congress and let's create a mechanism whereby the state can apply to the Fed for federal funding in a funds matching scheme that's based upon court orders of alimony and child support from the family courts of every state.
Mhm.
How many counties are in your state? I'm in Florida, so I have 66 counties. There's usually 3 cities per county. Okay, so there's about 10,000 cities in the country. There's about 3,600, correct me if I'm wrong, close to 3,600 counties in the United States. So imagine all the courts doing this.
Mhm.
I mean, we're probably talking in terms of trillions of dollars is being stolen from people.
Yeah.
When there's court orders to make money flow a certain way that doesn't necessarily serve the family, that creates financial hardship, and the court ignores when the court's duty is to preserve the status quo. So we have all this going on in family court for the purpose of the family court arriving at a court order for alimony and child support, which is then used by the state to apply for federal funding under Titles 4D and 4E of the Social Security Act.
Mhm.
The states get money because someone's ordered to pay child support. The states get money because someone's ordered to pay alimony.
Mhm.
Okay, so this order is not founded upon any debt, and so, or any existing adjudication of debt, or any underlying debt, or any established obligations, such as what would be found in a postnuptial agreement or a prenuptial agreement. Okay, even if those agreements did exist, there's no foundation of debt for what the court's doing, right? So who's going to challenge this stuff? Lawyers won't, because lawyers are part of the liquidation process. They're
Mhm.
practicing attorney. It's really important that you understand what that means. I've been saying this
Mhm.
for months and months and years, actually. So let me switch over here, do a share screen. And I'm going to show you, earlier today when I was prepping for this call, I just did a quick search in 1 second. I got this just to show you. I want to show you how easy this is to find this, that you should check it out. All right, let me do a share screen here. Okay, so the publisher here is going to be what? Law school. What is it? Okay. Cornell? Is it Cornell? Yeah, it's Cornell Law School.
Mhm.
So anyways, this is a great description of the False Claims Act, okay? So you have a state through its state court proceeding in family court. A family court is a division of the trial court system, okay? And so family court comes up with court orders, and those are in the case files, public record.
Right.
The state then uses those case files, and don't ask me for details on actually how they do this. I'm just saying this is an accounting practice. This is what's being done. The state applies to the United States for matching funds under these 2 provisions of law that come from, that are about alimony and child support. See
And
how
what
this
is the
works?
basis for courts saying our county should get money for your
I don't think it's like that. I think there's probably an applications form or intake process whereby it's probably like a statistical report that's filed, and then the feds reimburse the state.
But I wonder why. I mean, what's the basis for that? Like that even sounds fishy.
Okay, if you're the
Congress.
state and you can get money from the Fed because you fill out some paperwork, are you going to question why? Just go do it. They don't care.
Yeah.
Right. I just mean, what is the basis for the state saying we should receive money from the federal government because these are all the cases where we ordered private citizens
Okay,
to pay
the
their money?
basis is the law. There's a
Yeah,
law that
law.
says they can do this.
Okay.
Your Congress has created a situation where your state is being paid to break apart the family
Mm-hmm.
and destroy its wealth.
Mm-hmm.
The language is all in that Title 4D and E.
Yeah, if you go read it, Social Security Act,
Yeah.
Titles 4D and 4E, go read it. You see.
I'll tell you
alimony and
another
child
thing
support.
that people get pissed off about when you start reading that in that Social Security Act. You know how when you have a baby, they say you have to have give the baby a Social Security number in the hospital. It tells
Yeah.
right in there it's voluntary.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Hospital
children never
life.
had them. You can avoid it. There's a trick to not do it, but yeah, it's so wrong. But anyways, here, look, this is something you guys can do, okay? Like I was saying before, you can jam up the budget approval process for your board of supervisors, for specific agencies and departments in your executive branch, like the Department of Health. This is what I'm thinking you should do. Department of Ed, okay? I'm gonna put my glasses on. But anyways, if you look at this description here at Cornell Law School, it's explaining there's criminal and civil penalties for falsely billing the government. And of course, it makes total sense for the government to say, you know, if anybody wants to take the initiative to recover money that was wrongfully obtained from the United States, feel free to do that, you know, and you can represent the United States of America. We'll let you do it. And if we like what you filed, if it looks good, we'll join in and we'll help you. And we'll even pay you.
Mhm.
So you can actually make money. So the question is, really, how much money do you want to sue the state for? I would just say, I would go back the previous year, and let's say the first quarter of the year. Now I just made up a time period, right? I would say the first quarter of last year, okay, I would sue for the money that was paid for the first quarter of last year regarding family court orders of child support and alimony. And I'm not sure if the compensation, the reimbursement is specifically for what I just said, child support orders. I don't know if it's like that. I don't know if the data looks like that. It's probably a statistical report or some accounting record that's used in the application process, but those numbers are based upon the adjudication, but the adjudication is wrong because there's no underlying debt for the
Mhm.
adjudication.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyways, it's a qui tam lawsuit, which means you can sue in behalf of the government.
Right.
And then you can recover money. The government, you can sue for 3 times the damages. So you might sue the state, your state, for the first quarter of last year. You might sue it legitimately for like a couple $1 billion. Think about it. Why not sue for the whole quarter just to see what happens? Right? Sue for time periods. Don't just sue for an amount of money. Sue for time periods.
There's a funny
idea.
question in the chat. Someone says, just apply Canadians as well. And I was thinking, well, if you become the 51st state.
Say that again. What?
Someone was asking in the chat if this would apply to Canadians as well. And of course, we're talking about an American law.
Well, checking with Trump at the end of the year. By that time, probably
maybe
yes.
it will.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, this is specifically, we have a federal government that's written a law that is paying the states to bust up your marriage.
Yes.
And rewarding.
Yes.
So we need to stop this. So ultimately we want to stop it. And the way we stop it, let's get paid along the process. Like I've been telling you guys for a long time, never fight your own money. And when you have a chance to use your own time, okay, you're gonna have to use your own time. And you're not gonna find a lawyer to do this, by the way. Lawyers are too afraid of this. They'll never do this. You have to do this. You have to write the pleading. I can show you.
Recording in progress.
Yeah. So let me see. What the heck was that?
I don't know.
See, when you guys are not muted, then I have to stop what I'm doing, go back and mute everybody. Then Moko and Ray, you gotta unmute. Sorry about that. So anyways, let me put the share screen up there again because I thought that was a good idea.
Okay. Now also, John, just to be
What?
clear, you're talking about suing because it's basically, this suit is about saying, hey, federal government, I'm letting you know that there are all these monies that are being taken and they're being ordered and they're under duress and they don't have, all the things that you would say.
Yeah, you're speaking for the
And-
United States.
Right,
You're gonna
and
sue
that
as if it's
amount-
your, yeah, you sue as if it's your case.
Right.
You're suing, yeah.
So
whatever
you're not
the
just
state
suing
would
for
say-
any alimony you personally were left out.
Oh,
You're
right,
suing
it's a
for
large,
it's a larger piece of the pie. It's like the county or the
yeah,
state or
and
something
this
along those
allows
lines.
people that never were victimized by the family court to sue.
Yeah,
Like
you
if
don't
you're
even have
just
to be.
a bored person and you're watching TV all day and you're thinking I'm wasting my life and I got to do something productive, it might take you 18 months to push a case through the U.S. District Court to do this, and you can do it.
Mhm.
And the payoff might be $15 million, maybe it's $50,000. I don't know, but you could make money doing this.
And what's interesting too, John, is this might be the really good time because at a certain point, quitam, the federal government, the DOJ would take it over, and there's a very different, climate we're in right now, where the DOJ.
Yes, Pam Bondi would love it. Pam Bondi,
Yeah.
look, and the climate when they're going after government waste, abuse, and fraud, isn't this the perfect time? I mean, if you have this pleading written up, okay, and you're supposed to serve a copy on the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi. You're
Mhm.
literally supposed to serve Pam Bondi with this.
You're
condition.
Pam, yeah.
You serve it on her as a courtesy, but it's also for jurisdictional reasons. And you go file it in the court and you serve it on the state. You sue your damn state.
Mhm.
And then Pam Bondi will watch it. And she'll say, well,
Mhm.
that's my job. That's Trump's mission right now. And that's her
Mhm.
job, is to be
Mhm.
involved in that,
Mhm.
of getting rid of abuse, waste, and fraud.
Mhm.
Oh man, what a perfect environment that is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
would you
this is
say,
like free money.
so do you suppose we should just say $1 million, or should it needs to be
You
related
think too
to something?
small.
Oh, that is always
What do
for
you
me.
think? I mean, what do you think how much money do you think your state has taken from the federal government in a 3-month period last year? It's got to be in the billions. Look at all the divorce cases.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you literally just quantify it as a 3-month period for this.
Here's what I would do.
Yeah.
Here's the allegation I would make, because you got to be specific. So
Yeah, that's
I would
kind of
make
what
an
I wondered.
allegation that's a total guess, because I'm not going to waste my time doing the research, because I know what you all are thinking. You're thinking, John, how do we figure out how much money was paid out? And then my answer is, you don't.
Discovery.
You don't. You're just starting a fight.
You're just starting a fight.
You want to
Yeah.
start a fight? It's
The
really easy.
DOJ will
Go over
figure it out.
somebody and you punch them in the face. Here's what you do. So you write up the pleading and you allege that from the period of January 1st, 2024 to March 31st of 2024, the state of Alabama received $1.75 billion under the Social Security Act Parts 4D and 4E. You see? And I think that dollar amount's too low. I think it should be a few billion. I don't know. I mean, it should be large. It should be in the billions. Sue them for billions. Because here's what will happen. You make the allegation, that's enough to get into the jurisdiction, because you have to have sufficient pleading, sufficient allegations in the pleading. And then let's say later on, it comes out to where they didn't take 1.7, they took 15.3. Then what? You have to amend your pleading.
You just
You have to amend your pleading, the judge will let you. Or what if they only took 100 million? You have to amend your pleading, the judge will let you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, or you don't have to amend your pleading. You just get a decision from the judge on liability, and then you work out the dollar amount later. You see, it's very simple. It doesn't have to be perfectly correct.
Okay, thanks. I sometimes get stuck.
I
on
know,
flow.
that's why I said that. I knew you were thinking that.
Hey, John,
Right,
John, could you
follow me?
use that for disaster fraud?
Disaster
know,
fraud, yes.
With the COVID stuff?
Yes, you could. You could. Wherever there was federal money paid out based on application, where there was a false claim to the federal government, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I want to go over this with you guys, because you can use it for other things too. I just have my own, my own interest there.
Right.
Ray, did you get it, Ray? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, totally.
You just name the period, you make up a decent plausible amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Let the facts play out, and maybe you're wrong, maybe you're right, but you can always fix it. It's just like if someone owed you $50,000 and your only remedy was like, no, let's say you took them to small claims court, right? And the limit in small claims court is $10,000. Well, you could waive the $40,000. Or you could remove it to the higher court. I mean, there's your court system will take care of you. Don't worry about getting it right like that.
Maybe in this case they will.
And you can go to the comptroller general in your state, and you can see the audits, and whatever you're wanting to pick on, whether it's the health department or the whatever, or the property tax or whatever, you can see how much money was injected into them.
Look, if you guys file a case somewhere, you can start discovery immediately.
Yeah, and maybe
court.
ask the comptroller to answer some questions.
You can do a FOIA if you want to be a little baby, if you're afraid. Or you can sue them and hit them with the discovery at first day. Right. So you start the case by writing up, what questions do you want answered regarding the use of money in your county, in your state, in your city? What questions would you like answered? And make a list of the questions, okay? That's called discovery. File your case and serve it on them.
Now, someone's asking, how do you think the state will defend their position?
Well, the defense to the claim for under the False Claims Act is going to be that our claims were not false.
Right.
I don't know. There could be some other ones. I think the defense is going to be something like, you don't have the right to sue us. Your pleading's insufficient. It'll be something like
For
that.
sure. Like all that.
Yeah, right. We know how that works, but you
Mhm.
can cure it. You can get past it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've done that many times. We amend the pleading. It was difficult in the phony pandemic cases because they were desperately trying to keep us out of court. They don't want any of that stuff on the record. They don't want us to ask the question, you know? So, but anyways, you guys can see how this works, where there's federal money being paid out. And right now the climate is the best ever since the formation of the United States to go investigate and attack and destroy all fraud, abuse, and waste of public funds.
Mm-hmm. It's a citizen's duty right now to attack.
Now's the time, guys. Do it, do it, do it. Make it your hobby if that's what you just do it. If you complain about the IRS, if you complain about the tolls you have to pay when you drive to work and all this, if you complain about any aspect of government, well, here's your chance now to do something about it and make some money.
Now there's a question. What if they say you don't have any standing? How would you get around that?
Well, find out, make sure you have standing. Who has standing?
Make sure you got it. Yeah.
Who has standing? What does this act say? Who has standing? That's a Title
A
31.
private party
Thank you.
who is a
Title
relator
30, right? Title
under
31.
under Title 31. Yes.
Right. So if you're that, you
Yes.
have standing.
There you go. Yeah.
You can go to, you have stand, if you go to the comptroller general and you see the amount, millions and millions of dollars, and then you go in there and it's nothing but pie charts. It's no specifics. The data is not supported. And you go in there and all you got to do, that gives you standing right there. You say, this money was mismanaged. It's going
Well,
into
that
the
goes to
general
support
fund.
your allegations of fraud, abuse, and waste.
Right.
Now,
Right.
let me
It's an
give
actual
you an idea.
jurisdiction.
Let me give you some, here's an example. Now, I've done tens of thousands of cases with the IRS, okay? If I'm working with somebody or the IRS has here's how the IRS looks at something. If you make a money transaction or a practice in your business or something to if you deliberately make it more complex, more complicated than it normally is, the IRS would act upon that, let's say it's an audit, as if you were involved in a fraudulent representation to the government. So it would be considered fraud if you made it complicated. So if you run into a situation like that, it demonstrates the allegations in your pleading that they're involved in fraud, abuse, or waste, or specifically in violation of the False Claims Act. That's a little bit different than abuse, waste, and fraud. It's a little bit different. False Claims Act is a tort claim it's a qui tam action, okay? That's a little bit different than abuse, fraud, and waste. But there is abuse, fraud, and waste. You're suing for violations of the False Claims Act. And there's money for you. If you look down here, look at this. See if the government intervenes, if the government wins or settles, you get a big chunk of it, right? Well, so that's of the settlement, but there's an entitlement to get treble damages. So don't you think the settlement would consider the fact that if there was no settlement, the government would have to pay 3 or 4 times the amount, right? So your settlement will be quite large. It may be larger than you alleged. It may be larger than the $2 or $3 million. It might be like, let's say if it's a $3 million claim, it might be a $10 billion claim. It probably will be. So what does that mean for you? I mean, what is 15% of $10 billion or $3 billion? I mean, it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So.
And you don't have to do just one.
You don't have to do one, and you don't have to do it alone. You should get together with a group of people instead of being a bunch of whiny babies. Go write up a pleading. If you don't know how to do it, find out. You can do it. I'll do a call on it if you want me to. Heck, I'll do a special call on Saturday. Not this Saturday. I'm just saying, if you guys want me to, I'll do a call, teach you how to write a pleading. I'll teach you how to use the AI to do this. So, but you should be doing this, or shut up. Stop complaining. You have remedies. We have the best people in office right now. These are people in office. You got to think about this. The people in office, most of them don't want to be there. You think Elon Musk wants to deal with these little losers? It's almost
I kind
like
of thought he did, but yeah.
No, he's doing what he thinks is
to get
right.
him out. I see.
it's like a charity or something. I mean,
Okay.
it's a gift. Okay. Trump doesn't need to be there.
Mm.
You never even need to have heard about him ever. He has so much money, he could just disappear. You would have never even heard of Trump.
They're doing it because they're being responsible.
Yeah. They're
Okay,
doing something
I
that,
went to the school board meeting here the other night, they're testing on where they're trying to opt out of the property tax freeze, the homestead exemption. You know how
okay,
many people came to the meeting, John?
2.
One, me. I don't even live in this county.
Half of
You're
that.
the only one?
And I'm the only one that
I
showed up. And this is an
overestimated by
example.
100%.
I had the whole floor to the whole school board, and I said, "This is what's wrong with this country. You go look in the mirror." I tell all the people,
Wow.
nobody's going to the meetings. I told them
Mhm.
people on that board, I said, I have responsibilities as citizens to know the laws and know exactly what you're doing. Your responsibility is to be transparent for anything I want to know.
Mhm.
They just looked at me, and I wore that shirt. It said, "You don't have any rights if you're not willing to defend them."
Yeah.
And I did it the other night too, right there in the front row. But
Wow.
it's because they're getting away with this is because the people
Mhm.
are letting them.
And and they should. I mean, if I were them, I would laugh and say, nobody cares. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's wrong, but still, it's human nature. If other people don't care, like if I start driving my neighbor's car and he doesn't say anything, and I like the car, I'll probably keep on driving it. It's human nature. So, anyways, you guys got the idea. See, I mean, you can find this on your own, but look here, see,
Hmm.
and then I remember what I searched on here.
Yeah, they can look it up. It's what
False
is it?
Claims
It's
Act.
Yes,
Title 31, 3729.
I just searched on that on Swiss Cows.
Mhm.
I mean, and this tells you how to make millions of dollars. You could make millions of dollars. I mean, that's just one way to do it.
Mhm.
My interest is in family court. Okay. If you guys want to do it for something else, go right ahead, please. I mean, I didn't know they were still getting this fake pandemic money.
I'm
That's
thinking
another.
about wanting to do it on property tax because of school boards.
Well, yeah, wherever money goes from the Fed to somebody else. So Jim
That's what's
Campo has
going
a
on.
question. What did you
You
want
can do
to
school boards. You can do the health departments, the county health departments.
please do?
Mhm.
Yes.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
it's been a while. I'm happy to be here. You're really presenting this topic in a really big way. I'm curious to know, would we be able to have any like lawful claim to any of the CUSIP numbers attached to any of the court cases, or is that like kind of pushing the
But for what purpose?
to I guess further the to I guess claim the bonds that are attached to those court cases?
That's a
You
little
have to,
different.
there
That's the
has to
securitization of court cases he's talking about, and they put it in
Exactly.
pensions,
be
but
a
it's
lien
not.
of interest. And by the way, I think no, don't do that. But
Copy.
so to have it, you have to have an underlying lien interest, and then you have to perfect it with a filing of something, a public record, like a mortgage, right? So if you had a lien interest, yeah, you could express it and perfect the lien interest, sure.
So the only way to actually do that would be if it was, or I don't want to say actually do that, but the only way to pull that off would be if that was your court case, because that security interest, it would be much easier for you to pull off.
Underwriting, I don't know how you would have a lien interest in the underwriting. I don't know.
Copy. Okay.
It's interesting, but I don't know. I wouldn't
Yeah,
waste.
yeah. Maybe I
There's
can
so
talk
many
to you
fun
about
things
that
we could
offline.
do that. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, think of it like this. Let's just call it public funds.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then let's stay on the surface here and just talk about things that affect our daily lives.
Right.
If you get into all this other underwriting, I don't know what good that's going to be. They need to be able to do that stuff anyways, probably.
Copy. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
You can come after that. I know people that have done that, Jay, under the with the SEC, because see
Yes.
that's where they're creating
Yeah.
securities and they're not giving disclosure under
There
the
you go.
laws.
The SEC has a mandate to
Yeah.
deal with securities. Yeah.
Exactly.
He would. Right.
Exactly. Okay. Just a different channel over
Yeah,
here.
and if you'll notice in this example, like the False Claims Act, there's the plaintiff or petitioner, but plaintiff, but really you're the relator.
Mhm.
All right, that's the correct designation for your role as the party bringing the action against the recipient of the federal funds. You're the
Mhm.
relator,
Right.
relating the claim for the United States.
Right, because actually the United States will take over the claim and become
some
the
point,
suing
yeah.
party. Yeah.
So the plaintiff is the relator. That's the one bringing the action.
Mhm. Because the actual correct plaintiff, I guess, is the United States. ultimately.
Well, you can be the plaintiff, but really under the, if you're suing under the False Claims Act, the plaintiff is the United States of America. But
Yes,
allowed to represent, you have standing because you filed it. You
yeah,
have,
because you related it to them. Yeah, but there has to be that little, I mean, it's because it says there's that relationship, that relationship can work.
Yeah. You have standing under the,
Yeah.
if you allege you're suing under the False Claims Act, you have standing.
Right.
Unless you're like not a US citizen probably. It's
Mhm.
how it works. I would think so. I mean, I think you'd have to be at least a US citizen. I mean, it doesn't preclude people from other countries, by the way, so I wonder about that. I mean, you got some options here.
Maybe there is some Canadian action possible.
I mean, wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah, you get the idea. So there's a False Claims Act for federal money, and so where else has federal money was it been paid? Now, right now, the Trump administration is getting all that taken care of, but they're going to miss some, like they missed family court, right? They're not going to get everything. There's still some money to get.
Yeah, now's the perfect time to do it because the DOJ, he's doing a shakeout on the DOJ, so they'd be scared to ignore it.
Yeah, so Pam Bondi is your best friend if you want to do this case. And so what
Right.
you're looking at, there's a filing fee. The filing fee is a few $100s, okay, to file the case in court. You could probably get exempted or something, I don't know. So you go to the US District Court in your region or district for your state. That's where you file in your closest district courthouse, where you would file bankruptcy, okay? You file this false claims tort case
Mhm.
and try to write up the pleading, get your discovery, think that through, work with a couple of people, don't try to do it alone, and then you file it and get a case number, right? So probably the first time you try to file it, if you've never done something like this before, it might get rejected by the clerk, but here's the thing, the clerk is very friendly, the clerk will tell you what needs to be corrected, and so you
Mhm.
fix it in the filing, get the case number.
Mhm.
Case number, you can at the same time get a summons issued. Then you get a process server to serve it on your state. So just find out who to serve
The
process on.
Attorney General probably, or do
Probably
you
the
think?
state attorney general's office. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you even have to, I think, well, the act tells you, I forget what it is, but anyways, if you guys want me to do a class, if there's enough people that want to do it, I can do a class and I can show you all the technical details. But I'm telling you right now, you can figure it out and don't work alone. Just work with a couple of people, even if it's by video conferencing, right? If they're in another state, work in a group. You can just really make some nice changes.
What's going on?
Yeah, use Chat GPT. I was gonna say, exactly.
I use it
Yeah.
all the time. I
Yeah.
showed a client today, she had a dispute with one of these coin exchanges. And so I showed her, I said, get the terms of service. She goes, what's that? I said, okay. Now she was dealing with a lot of money. And I said, hey, if you're dealing with a lot of money, you need to be responsible. You should already know this.
Mhm.
Kind of reprimanded her. But I said, you get the terms of service, and they were actually very easy to understand. But I said, you can upload them to the Chat GPT and then ask questions about it. Like, for example, based on this contract, ask Chat GPT, based on this contract, what are my remedies for a dispute or a breach of contract or whatever? What are my remedies? It'll tell you what to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And by the way, the one I just did, it wasn't very accurate, but it was close enough. Okay, it was
Mhm.
close enough. It did make a
Yeah.
couple of mistakes, and I tried to correct it, and it didn't quite understand. So that's okay.
Right.
That just tells you still need to think for yourself. But
Yeah, you get a chance to fix it. And also someone's just saying, do you know of any good examples of what a False Claims Act looks like? And I suppose you can look for that as well.
yeah, you can use
ChatGPT.
Alex did it he used AI for the FDCPA claim. Very good, very good. Yep. Helps you with understand the rules of civil procedure.
It's
Mhm.
excellent.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
should use it.
Yeah, there's some time period requirements in the very beginning when you get your pleading filed. You got to coordinate something with the other side, and file reports with the court. So you got to kind of understand that, I think, before you go in there. So the Chat GPT does really help.
Yes.
Mhm.
I found it tremendously helpful, and I'm in the process right now of dealing with my own case. And if you just ask it questions, it's like having a teacher.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or a
Fantastic.
collaborator. I mean, I talk to
Yeah.
I talk to the Chat GPT as like my assistant over here,
Just,
But yeah,
just be aware of any case law quotes. Now you better double check the holdings.
Yeah, always check your case law.
They will not be right always.
Mhm.
I always verify things several different ways when I get information from the Chat GPT.
Mhm.
So anyways, you'll figure that out. Somebody's asked me, JJS, would you know of any good examples? I don't know.
Oh,
What,
we're just talking about that.
what's court listener? What's that?
Oh, it's like you know, a way to see cases, you know,
Oh, okay,
posting
cool.
cases online. Yeah. So you would just look it up.
Yeah, and it's also possible that the AI has been scrubbed in such a way. I don't know, but
Mhm.
okay, so I'm looking at something right now. I want to develop a device that I can install on a server and then create a subscription so you guys can actually interact with it. And it would be almost as if you're talking to me. Like it has my attitude, it'll have my strategies, it'll have all my work for 30 something years on there for the AI. So what I found is that and maybe if some of you want to help me with this, maybe you can, but what I found, let me just check real quick. I've got there's a hardware device by NVIDIA.
Oh, and it's like it does the meeting for you.
Well, NVIDIA has a pretty good system architecture and software for AI. And I can make a standalone device. It's not on the internet. And I can develop my own module. And then I can make it available, right? So let me just find, yeah, it's NVIDIA. Let me just try to get the name for you. I'm sorry I'm taking this long. I got so many windows open, but let me look at my computer. So yeah,
I think that's the NVIDIA Orin, maybe you're talking about the um, an, a processing computer. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
NVIDIA has
called
an
Orin.
AI thing. I forget what they call it, but I'll find it in a second.
Yeah, and he's spelling it NVIDIA.
Right.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, I'll get to it in a second. But yeah, so I just need someone to help me install the software or get it set up, and then I can start building it. But anyways, that's another subject. But yeah, the AI is a really helpful tool if you're going to use it judiciously. It's not going to do your thinking for you. It doesn't just give you everything. You kind of have to guide it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same way with a search engine. I mean, if you have to, you have to finagle with the questions, and you'll get what you want.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sometimes I have to ask it a certain way, a different way, and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I don't see it right here. Yeah, but anyways, that's what I want to present this evening. And if you guys have any ideas on that, we can discuss them.
Can you set up a class, John? That would be amazing.
Okay, yeah, let me put guidelines together and make it it'll be technical. It'll be technical. I'll give you your money's worth.
It's
I'll
okay.
make something that, I'll get into the rules of civil procedure and what you should understand when you first get in there.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here it is. Yeah, it's called the Jetson modules. Let me just do a screen share with you guys, just to show you the AI thing. It's pretty cool. Oh, here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Share screen. Yeah, this is what I was looking at. This it has the hardware and software. I think this is what it's called. All the specs here, but there's something else.
The Jetsons. I remember that cartoon.
It's not here, but nope. Anyways, this is the device. I forget the full name of it. I have a note file on this stuff. But anyways, I just need to start this and use it for AI development. Because I want to make a server that you guys can log into and you can interact with it and get. So like today, somebody was asking me about, no, it was yesterday. Somebody was asking me about a remedy in a situation. And so that takes a little critical thinking, okay? So with my knowledge and my creativity, I could come up with a solution that has a certain intention. So the intention would be something like, how can I solve your problem quickly with the least cost? That's how I always look at everything. So my thinking is if I take my work and I provide it and I train the AI, I can actually get the AI to answer your question almost in the same way. Because you can easily go Google stuff on the internet and you can find legal citations, but that really doesn't help you unless you understand what you're doing.
Right.
But if you can have a device that has the critical thinking already digested, then that will quite get you there.
Mhm.
Anyways, different subject. So let's see what we got. Oh, somebody's okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
have you, just out of curiosity, have you run your ideas about family court through the AI?
Well, I use it to make to get verifications of my certain legal conclusions. So to that extent, I've used it. I use it very sparingly. I actually use it as a tool for verifying my work. Because I know a lot of times I'm correct on something, and then I just need a way to back it up. And so I will go pull like a law or something or some case law, and I'll have the AI read it, and then I'll ask it for a conclusion to see, like I'll try to ask it for a conclusion that is weighted against the opposite of what I said. See if it says, no, this other one was right. I try to verify my work that way. So
John, I have a question for you.
yeah.
So how would you allege that a state family court is fraudulently collecting funds on behalf?
Okay, so I would allege that an application was made by the state for federal funds, matching funds under the Social Security Acts, okay, and in violation of the False Claims Act, okay. And then in the False Claims Act, there's one of the paragraphs I was talking about last time. I forget what, I can go back there, but it'll qualify, like it'll match perfectly where it'll describe what the state's doing. And so you allege the violation of that particular provision. That's how you do it. You don't wildly use the terms fraud and all that, because it's not a fraud case. It's a case, a qui tam action for under the False Claims Act. Only that. You don't want to even make an allegation of fraud per se. You just want to say that the state obtained the funds in violation of the False Claims Act. That's how you would do it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, if you get into alleging fraud, you get into a quagmire of necessary allegations that come with it. Be thankful that we have the False Claims Act, because now we don't have to say fraud. We could say False Claims Act, which is far easier than fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
So you have to look at the False Claims Act,
I
look
know a
and see
lot
what it
of
says.
What? Oh, somebody says.
Look at the False Claims Act, look at what it says, and find that section that applies to what you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is 90% of the case, is actually making the correct allegations. Your jurisdictional statement in federal court, there's a procedural requirement that you have a thing like, instead of statements of fact, the court wants you to make a similar section called plain statement. And the plain statement precedes your statements of fact, where you're just summarizing your statements of fact. Plain language. In plain language, like you're gonna tell your friend a story what happened to you at the baseball game last year, right? It's the plain statement, and the court requires it. If you don't have it in there, it'll dismiss your case. So it's one of the nuances in federal court. Also in federal court, you can't start discovery until you're done with your discovery plan and the judge has agreed with it. Yeah. So there's a few things like that.
Are you aware of any like a notice requirement where you would have to inform the state before you file a suit? Okay.
Yeah, you can see it. Well, I believe there should be a notice requirement to waive sovereign immunity. It's sovereign immunity. There should be a notice requirement for that in the False Claims Act. If not, if it's in your state Tort Claims Act, I would at least do one or the other or both, just to be sure that you've got a waiver of sovereign immunity. And then also there's some provisions there where you have to notify the U.S. Attorney's Office, the DOJ's office, or it's the U.S. Attorney, and the state. You have to do that in advance to get jurisdiction, and you have to allege that you did that.
Right. Someone's asking how far back you can go for a case. I don't really understand that question. What do you think
Look at the False Claims Act. It'll tell you jurisdictional limitations, and as you can imagine, if you're the United States, would you ever impose limitations on your ability to collect funds that were falsely paid out?
Probably not.
Therefore, there is no statute of limitations.
Yeah, but you were just saying in order to come up with like a nice tight statement about the money claim.
Yeah, I just made it.
Yeah, it's this quarter, this period to this period. Just pick one.
Pick one. And then when you get it and it starts working and you see this working, then you can pick another one.
Or another county, or another state, or yeah.
I mean, if you do it right the first time, I think they're gonna get the message. You go, holy crap, we got to do something here, because now you got a situation where you guys are gonna like this one. This requires people to work together. If you do a couple of these around the country, wouldn't it make sense to appoint a receiver to recover the money from the states?
Mm-hmm.
Appointing a receiver, who would the receiver be?
You.
Well, it could be people. Look, it could be a party like the Elon Musk crowd. It could be like that, okay? It could be a group of private citizens that are acting as receiver to recover the money the state obtained unlawfully from the Fed. You know?
But
Mhm.
because the DOJ becomes the enforcer.
That's
actually
right.
takes it
You're gonna
over.
need the DOJ's office.
Yeah.
You can let the DOJ do it, but you can also work out a deal with the DOJ. You can say, you know, I would put together a team of people, and we can ask the judge in this case to appoint a receiver. The DOJ might like that, because then the DOJ doesn't have to do all the work, let the receiver do it. Ooh, that's so powerful. I mean, there's so many things you can do with this stuff. And now's the right climate to do it.
So what qualifications do you have to be a receiver? Don't you have to have like, financial know-how and stuff like
It would
that?
help to understand what you're doing as a receiver. It would help to have people that have already been receivers, yes.
Study.
But receivers need, button pushers. They need help. They can't just do it by themselves. So you want someone who, like, you can find services that are receivership. They do receiverships. Yeah. But if you work with the DOJ's office, I think that, I'm just throwing this idea out to you guys. Think about it. Like, you can recover the money faster. I mean, once you got a beat on it, couldn't you just recover it faster with a receiver? I mean, if there's no statute of limitations, you can go all the way back to the 80s when they amended all the family court rules.
Oh, is that what happened? I'm like, how did this
They did it in the 80s.
monster happen?
Post 80s, yeah.
Mm.
80s, 90s, 2000s. That's when they amended all the rules
Yeah, see, they were created the family courts in the 80s. There was no family courts in the early 80s.
Right.
This was all created
Yes.
Mm.
by Congress.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing what the underpinnings of it are.
Yep. It's been out 50 years now. So
Mm.
yeah.
And so they all believe it's true, or maybe they don't. Who knows?
I
but-
hope some of you do this. I would love to do a class on it and show you if there's enough of you that want to do it. I mean, I would be happy to see that there are at least 6 of you that want to do it. That would make me happy. If there's 600, even better.
Mhm.
If there's 2, I
Yeah,
have to
I'll be
wonder what's
there.
wrong with the rest of y'all's.
Well,
I'm in.
certainly anybody in family court, we should do one for them, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, if you're in family court, I mean, you have an interest in this.
yeah.
I
So-
think there's 6 people that already that are saying yes.
Yeah, and it's good. And at the same time, if you're in family court, if you're working with us, we're gonna use this in your case.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're gonna say that the family court judge has an undisclosed conflict of interest, and we're gonna tell him what it is.
Hmm.
And he's gonna realize, if he doesn't already, he's gonna realize he stepped into a hornet's nest.
Hmm.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see a lot of people are interested in this. Good,
Hmm.
fantastic. That makes me motivated. I'll do a really good job. I'll give it to you. You guys be careful what you ask for. I will tell you how to do it.
Cool.
So let me put something together, and maybe I'll set up a time on a Saturday or something, or whatever date,
Hmm.
and that'll be a fun time. We'll
Mhm.
record it, and the people that go can get access to the recorded version. If you don't go, I'm not gonna let you have it, just in fairness to them, right? So somebody's saying something here, the state,
Oh.
this,
Just me.
yeah, the state sounds like the friend you beat up, yeah.
Can you think of any downside to pursuing this, John?
It just takes up your time, and you
It
can
takes
lose.
your time, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not RICO too, by the way. I mean, you can lose you can be ordered to pay attorney fees, okay? So in my 32 years of doing this work, not a single client has ever had to pay attorney fees. And every single case we had in court, they all said that was gonna happen.
Hmm.
So if that helps you,
Hmm.
Ignore that.
There's no downside. I mean, this is all molding of character. If you're on this call, listening to John for a purpose. Nothing's by accident. You
Mhm.
just have
Don't
to
be
take the
concerned.
horse and ride it.
Yeah, don't make a decision based on the consequences. Make a
Yeah.
decision to do it or not based upon the
Li-
need to do it.
Live every day
Right.
like it's your last day. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't do something like this or use some of these methods or use your own methods or come up with a strategy, then you don't have a really right to complain. People just say if you don't vote, you can't complain. Well, that's kind of good, but if you don't get out and do something, you know, work together with people. I mean, if you have a problem with your HOA, go knock on your neighbor's door, make them lunch, you know, bring them some fried chicken and beer or something, and talk to him for a while and see if you can work with just one neighbor, and maybe he can work with another neighbor because he'll probably tell you, yeah, I was talking to Jim too the other day. And so now you got 3 neighbors. That's how you get things done, right? And if you don't do that, then shut up.
Mhm.
You can't complain.
Can't
Yeah.
complain.
John, I've got a question, please. John, do you
Yes.
think that process could be adapted to Australia?
Yeah, in Australia, I believe in most modern countries, you have provisions for considering abuse, waste, and fraud. And what we have in the States is we have an office of what's known as the Inspector General's office, and it's the executive function, like the police function under your Department of Treasury. So wherever money is being managed, like in your Treasury Department, you're going to have a function that we call the Inspector General's office, which gives that person the authority to audit money, right? Accounting records. So if you have some function like that, which I'm sure you do, then you would want to look at an aspect or a situation where that person has a duty to investigate allegations of abuse, waste, or fraud of public funds. There is always going to be a mechanism in modern governments with that. So I don't know what you call it, but I just described what it is, if that helps you.
Okay,
Did you
thank you.
hear that a bunch of inspector generals resigned?
Yeah, the IGs, because they weren't going to do the job. He already knew it, so he fired them. That's great.
No, but they
There's always
resigned.
there's always some agency you can stick on another agency.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing about, okay, one of the things, I don't know if Trump's doing this, but he needs to revoke all their passports and then let them go
Mm.
or let them resign
They
or
need
get,
to take them and drop them in
Yeah.
Africa in the middle of a
so if they
pack of
resign,
hungry hyenas and
they
lions.
resign, I'm thinking they're involved with theft of some kind and they're probably going to flee the country or hope they're not caught. That's why they resign.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, here's an example too. I was telling Mocha the other day about it. So I got a buddy that on the CRIS accounts, Court Registry Investment System, he files suspicious activity reports on the judge for involved with the misuse of the funds in the CRIS accounts. You know, they take funds and
Okay.
invest them and all.
All
And
right.
so the judge lost his career, pension. I mean,
Yeah, you can do
removed
that.
from the bench, everything.
Yeah, that's effective. You can do that. So what are the, I mean, what I like to look at is systemic fraud. I would like to systemic corruption. I would like to end that. So yeah, okay, you got rid of that judge, but then there's another one that'll do the same thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he wasn't
Oh,
protected.
that judge was messing with him. That's why he did it. I mean,
Okay, well,
specifically.
I don't blame you. Heck yeah, if you can do it. Heck yeah.
But there's always something. There's always one agency you can stick on.
You have remedies. Yeah, I mean, anytime there's a collection of use of public funds, you're always going to have an audit function. You have to. You know, public funds. And so when you have an audit function, you have a police function, which someone is going to be held accountable and prosecuted for misuse of public funds.
Yeah.
And that originates in that office. So you'll find it.
There's a claim process usually too. Like I filed a claim with the Utah on attorney, got him disbarred,
Yeah.
the Utah Professional Conduct Board. So it's like you get a case number and you provide all the information. They come in and review. It's like a little internal thing,
Yeah.
and then they just pull the attorney's bar card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot we can do by looking at the money. I mean, really follow the money, as you've heard before in the movies. You follow the money, it tells you a lot.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anyways, this is just one path you guys can follow. I don't know if you can do this something in the, I mean, we have a unique governmental system here in the States. You know, we got like, we probably have 15,000 government centers in our country. In
Mhm.
fact, in the United States of America, we probably have 30 different nations here. Most people don't know that. We have about 30 different nations, independently recognized nations in the United States of America on its landmass.
Oh, okay. You mean the various Indian
We have the
reservations or
Indian
even more?
nations, but we also have other national.
Oh, free trade
Yeah.
zones and stuff like that and everything.
We have many of this going on. It's not just a homogeneous nation. So, but anyways, because we have all these, we have these separated functions of government. We have states that are independent nations unto themselves. They have their own constitutions. And so each state has its own inspector general's office.
Mhm.
And then each other division of the state, which is your cities and your counties, those have, anytime there's a budget, you have inspector general's office.
Mhm.
Anytime there's a treasury, a repository, central repository for money, you have this feature, you have this function of government. So you just have to figure out who that is. And so the nice thing about using it is now you're using money that you've already paid, okay, to do something, to protect the money that you've already paid, public funds. You don't want to sue the government and come out from, come out of the blue and sue and accuse the government of misusing public funds when you have an inspector general's office.
Mhm.
Have that office do it. Because if that office doesn't do it, now your remedy is injunctive relief against that office. Now you're not fighting your own money. You're making your money work for you.
Mhm.
That's why you want to do it that way. And that's what it's for.
Mhm.
But anyways, False Claims Act.
Excellent. This is a great overview, and it looks like people are
Report.
interested. So we'll
Okay. Well, I'm glad
continue
there's
on.
enough of you so interested, and I'm very happy to organize something, and I'll talk about it on the next call. I'm not sure what the subject is going to be on the next call, but on this coming Thursday, I'll talk about, what I put together, and we'll pick out a date that appeals to most people. We'll try to get everybody on there.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll have to do.
John, I've got a quick LLC question. What's the downside of opening a US bank account with a foreign-owned LLC?
Well, first of all, you have to domesticate your LLC. If you have a foreign LLC and you want to open a bank account in the States, the bank itself will tell you to domesticate it in one of the states. So they're not going to let you do that, in other words. Now, if you're a large corporation, you could probably get away with that. But just the same, like Bank of America, for example, those are a different structure. Those are associations, and so they're recognized very easily. A big institution is going to be recognized, but if you're a small business owner, the bank's going to make you domesticate that LLC. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. When you say domesticate it, what does that involve?
You would take your limited liability structure and you would publish the articles through one of the states in the 50 states. Like pick the state of Georgia. You would record your articles in the Secretary of State's office for the state of Georgia, and you would get a stamped copy that shows you paid the fee, $50, and then you would take that to the bank, and the bank would then recognize your LLC as a Georgia LLC. It doesn't care that it came from Germany or something. But you would still get charged on protection.
But when I say foreign LLC, I mean it's one that you've set up for me in the States. So are we talking the same situation there?
All right. So if it's already domesticated in one of the states, you can just open your bank account.
Okay, and there's
money in the States.
Okay, so there's no downside of doing that at all, eh?
Well, it's inconvenient. I mean, I don't know. What are you trying? What's the purpose of it? Trading cryptos or something?
Well, it's trading cryptos, and I've been using it in Australia as well. So it's
yeah.
working
Well,
quite
excellent.
well.
That's even better. Yeah, we set up some here in the States to use them in Canada too. So sure. I mean, I'm sure there's downsides to everything, but it's a useful tool. You can cross jurisdictions like that, sure.
Okay, yeah, well, I've just set up a Stripe account to it, which was a little bit of mucking around to put a model, but I've got that up and running. So yeah, and which I've set up through Revolut Bank, and it seems to be, for all
Yeah, that's
intents and
fine. You
purposes.
can do that. Just know that when you have a merchant account, you're the guarantor on it. So they used your credit to underwrite the account, which is fine. Just know that they did that. But yeah, it's titled in the name of the LLC. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to go to M here. Infinite something. Infinite something. M, what did you want to ask?
Yeah, hey, John, I got a quick question for you. What are the pros and cons that you know of between using an unincorporated association with a bank account versus like a regular business account?
Well, I like using a corporation because it's an entity. If you're trying to do things with an unincorporated association, you're going to be seen as a sole proprietor and you don't have any legal protections. That's really the most important thing, I believe. You want to have a structure that can be removed from your estate or seen as a separate party. That's useful. If you want to make the ownership an association, you can do that. Right? But I wouldn't make the contracting party to handle my money an association, because then there's no separation between myself and the association. Or you can get it, but it's complicated. Okay. So but generally speaking, it's not a good idea to do it that way. I like to have the entity that's going to handle money. I like to have that done outside of my state and be recognized as a legal entity that stands by itself.
Okay, yeah, I was actually gonna do it through the state of California, which has actually, from my understanding, very good legal protections on that.
Oh, that's why I would recommend against California.
Yeah, I figured that, but yeah, the reason I was gonna do it through a California one is because supposedly I looked into it a little bit, and supposedly, as far as their LLC or their unincorporated association structure goes, they offer a lot of legal protections for unincorporated associations.
Let me tell you, an LLC is the same in all 50 states, okay? You're going to get charging order protection. Then the rest of the protections come from how you've written the operating agreement. California, you're not just you're dealing with the California Franchise Tax Board. It's the worst tax collector in the whole country, worse than the IRS. So I'd recommend against that for those reasons. Your detriments are far outweigh your benefits. You're much better off going to another state like Arizona or something, you know.
New Mexico.
Yeah, thanks,
So,
John.
that's my recommendation anyway. I've talked to so many people over the years where I have to reorganize their business, dissolving their California company and reestablishing it in another state. Same company. Just that's how bad it is over there. Yeah, Delaware too is so complicated. There's no reason for Delaware. I mean, really, unless you like paying lawyers lots of money or getting into that situation. Yeah, and banks for opening LLCs, you gotta just shop around. All right. I don't have a list of any easy banks. Blue Vine maybe, but there was another one called Internet something, First Internet or Internet First or something like that.
Wells Fargo.
Wells
Hell, they
Fargo.
got any problem with Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
B of A.
Any national association is going to be good.
John, what are your thoughts on changing the ownership of my personal Charles Schwab account to my LLC, my unincorporated
I want you to
LLC?
contact the fund manager, whoever your account manager over there, Charles Schwab, and just explain
Yeah.
that you want to move the stock holdings over to your limited liability company. Make sure it's an LLC, and make sure the owner of the LLC is the same as your account holder now. So it's yourself as the account holder for all your stock. So make yourself the sole owner of the LLC, and then the reason why you do that is because you want the conveyance to not show as a sale. It's not a sale or a gift or anything. Make sure they don't make it a gift. It's not a gift. You're conveying the stock ownership for estate planning purposes, where the beneficial interests remain the same. They'll understand.
Is it set up correctly if I'm the signatory already?
It's fine. As long as it's an LLC that's recognized as valid company and you're signing for it and you're the owner of it, it'll work smoothly.
Okay.
As long as your owner is the ownership is the same in the personal account and the LLC account, that shows the beneficial interest stayed the same. You'll be fine. And then after the conveyance is completed, maybe wait a month, then you can amend the articles if you like to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
We don't need to tell them about that stuff. Jay, what'd you have?
John, my friend's asking me about taxes.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. So when we had spoken a while ago, I feel like you might have mentioned something about an accounting company that you either recommend or set up or something like that. Is there anything that you've gotten in that area?
I set up a liaison, a connection to a foreign accounting firm that does U.S. tax law. And it
Okay.
worked fine until the guy that was running it didn't set it up properly. I didn't realize this and left. And I don't have that liaison anymore. I don't have that connection anymore. So
Copy.
the accounting firm's still out there and the method is the same. And I had mentioned last month I was going to review this. Maybe I'll talk about this next week a little bit. But I'm going to share with you how you can get the same benefits using just a certain strategy that I use with clients. I can just tell you all how to do that. I was just trying to make it easy to where I didn't have to explain myself. You can just go over there and do it. You know,
What's the best way, if at all possible, for my friend to potentially get in touch with you?
Best way is to just do an appointment through aceofcoins.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. I appreciate
All
it,
right.
man.
Yeah, look forward to it. All right. So I'm gonna head out.
Hey, talking about AI, I was going to add this. Did you see where, because now all the shit's hitting the fan, so the IRS got caught using AI to monitor everybody's bank accounts with no warrants. And so it's coming out in Congress. So now they're
Okay.
going to attack the IRS about that too.
Monitoring bank accounts.
Mhm.
How is the IRS gonna monitor bank accounts? It has to go through the bank. So the bank's the one doing it, really.
Yeah, it's using AI through the banks.
Participating in this.
They
So
also
Interesting.
found 80,000 IRS agents that had millions of dollars in back due taxes. I didn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
they
always.
never pay. I've heard
That's what
that.
I thought. Yeah, I was
So-
really surprised to hear that.
So the new 88,000 either get to go work on the border or leave, and then the others get the option to quit. So, and now they're discovered with the AI shit. So how long is that gonna last?
Not too long.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
John, will you
the,
post this video on YouTube just so people know?
You want me to put this video on YouTube?
Yes,
I think people
please.
would, yeah.
Yeah, I can do. I'll put it on
There's a lot
public.
of
This is very good. This is
The
very
Trump claims he's going to change it to the external revenue service.
Think about it. All right, think about it.
Tariffs.
Look, you take the whole amount they've been taking from us, okay? And then you reduce the need for taking all this money by cutting all the waste, which is trillions. You're gonna
Which is
see
a
this.
lot.
Trillions. You watch. Yeah, it'll be trillions. So then you increase on a regular basis the tariffs from around the world. It'll be fine. It's okay. It's not going to destroy everybody.
Well, it's also an incentive for business, right? It's like,
Yeah, it could be
this will bring
5%,
business
but
back
anyways,
here.
increase the tariffs enough,
Yeah.
reduce the waste, and then you reduce the need to get everybody's money.
And then you let people have chickens and you'll have
And
that.
let them have the chickens.
It's
Right.
the way it's supposed to be operated anyway. I mean, that's actually the way it was actually written to be operated.
Exactly. I mean, our government's functioning just fine, you know, and everybody makes the mistake. They say, well, after the 16th Amendment, they could then collect taxes. No, that never happened. The 16th Amendment did not change the Constitution, okay? You have to go look at the Supreme Court holding in Stanton versus Baltic Mining Company in 1915. The 16th Amendment did not give the government new taxing authority. What happened was the propaganda tricked people into believing they had to participate in a new income tax scheme when there wasn't any. And this is how they
to help
survived
the
all
war effort.
Right.
Yeah,
Victory
this is how they
tax.
survived all the constitutional challenges because there was no duty to report or file or pay. So therefore there was no cause of action to say it was unconstitutional. And that's why we have that's how our system is now. That's why I don't file. I don't have a duty to file. You guys don't either. You'll discover that someday.
There isn't one. Yeah, doesn't exist.
All right. Well, I'll publish this.
Thank
You
you.
guys
Thank you. Thank you.
all righty.
Publish it and we'll send it to Trump.
Oh, we don't want to lose John.
Pam,
Wait a
no,
minute.
Pam Bondi.
Talk to Pam Bondi.
We
got
can't
some
lose
things-
This is the direct conversation of Pam
Trump will
Bondi.
hire him.
All right.
Good night. Have a good
work.
weekend.
Night, y'all.